Good evening, class, and welcome to our class today. Our discussion as per what was sent on the link. So today we'll mark the end of the discussion about the functions, Excel functions. That is the basic functions used in Excel. And today we shall discuss about the VLOOKUP and the lookup and reference functions. I have sent this in the WhatsApp group, that small pamphlet, so you can have it. Then later, it has the concept about the VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and other lookup functions like the match, index, and choose. So from our previous discussion, we did discuss on various things about working with Excel functions like SUMIF, COUNTIF. We did if function. And there's something, I give you an exercise about working with the SUMIF and average if. And before we start our discussion today, I would like us to go through just a little bit about the SUMIF, the COUNTIF, average if, some ifs, using an exercise that I've already given you those exercises. And then we discuss a little bit on how you can summarize your work using graphs. Then from there, we will proceed with finish up. Is making a lot of noise, please mute your microphone. Please mute your microphone. If your microphone is on, please just mute your microphone, please. Just a minute, let me control it from admin. Please control the microphone. So as we wait for our admin to control the noise behind the background. So I was saying that we need to go through just a summary of what we did about the SUMIF, COUNTIF, and so on. So the exercise that we are going to use, exercise 8 of the pamphlet that I sent you. And from this exercise, just a minute, let me do this. So sorry for that interruption. So please, if you know your mic is on, that is a student who is not even following. How can you feel a lot of noise and you cannot even detect yourself? So now From this exercise, first we said you are given a piece of big data, and this piece of big data we have, we are actually working a few records about customers, and these records about customers, and we want to evaluate and make a summary of this data, give out the data in a summary format, then use this summary to produce the charts. So that means from this data, that is data about customers from different cities in the world, then we have, has been extracted from a big data, of course. Then we have different genders, and we have the annual purchases of these customers, then the annual salaries gain for the same customers, showing that the power of customer to buy probably depends on their salaries. So from our first summary of this data, we are supposed to summarize the total annual salaries of these customers based on their regions. So you want to see, like in New York, the total annual purchase of these customers was like how. So initially we said, when you're using the Excel function, you can do sum if you want to sum everything. And in case you want to sum the values here, the function sum will actually help you to sum these. So my voice is too low. Okay, let me try to check. Maybe somewhere the volume is low. We can improve the volume. I think, please, the admin, you need to be closer here. We don't want this class to have challenges, please. The admin, please, just come closer and control the class. So let's continue. So we have this data, and we want to get the sum of this. Then we said easier, you just set up the sum, and you highlight the cells, the range of cells to be worked on. So this function will actually give you the sum, but it will get the sum of all numbers. You get the sum of all numbers. And that is without giving the sum of specific values. But now, in this case here, you're supposed to get the sum, but not the sum for all values. It is only the sum for restricted numbers. Like in this case, you are supposed to get the sum for those values annual purchases of New York. Simply, the machine is supposed to pick the values here, pick the value here, because this is New York again, pick another value where there is New York and another value down here where there is New York. It is supposed to pick those values and give you the answer here. But now without using this formula, then we can automate it using the sum if function. Because this is a function, the sum if. This is the function that we use when we want to add the values in a range of cells that specifies a condition to return the results after that. The syntax, the sum if, we'll start with the sum if followed by the range of cells, then the condition, and then the sum range. The sum range is actual cells to be added. The range here shows the cell that we want to evaluate. So simply, if you are to add this, then we'll insert the function. Then you select sum if you want to insert that function using the insert command. Then you click OK. Then from here, you select the range. The range here we say is the range of cells you want to evaluate, that we are not summing everything, but you want to sum values for the New York. So we will just type here the criteria, New York. That is the criteria we are looking for, the values of the annual purchases. So the sum range is the actual cells to sum. That is, these are the cells that you need to sum. But it will not sum everything. It will only sum for those values under this set in New York. So from there, you click OK, and it will give you the same value that we got there that will help us to get this. So you are supposed to repeat that formula for the other cities. This formula you don't copy down, reason being that there is nowhere the cell references are required. So you have to compute for every cell. So here you select sum if again, then you put the criteria, the range of cells to work, to evaluate, and the range of cells to sum. And then from there, you get the value of the same. Then lastly, you select the last, the last city, you insert the function sum if. You can also type the function direct. So here you just say sum if, you just type sum if. Then once you select sum if, it will choose the condition, the range of cells to evaluate from here to here. Then after that, you put a comma. Then the criteria must be in quotation marks. So you type it in quotation marks. And our criteria is the next setting. Then the sum range is the sum to add. That is these cells that you are supposed to add here. And once you do that, you press enter, it will still give you the same value. So that is the use of the function sum if. We are summing if New York, sum if Chicago, sum if Seattle. So the other formula we use is average if. Average if here, we will find the average values in a range of cells that meet a specific condition. So someone is saying we send the Excel worksheet there. Okay, just a minute. Let me send that worksheet. Let me send that worksheet. First, we apologize for our last class. It was not interactive. There were some challenges with the class. I hope you noted. But today, we will try as much as possible to make our class fine. So, just a minute. I'm sending those exercises there, so you can download if you are using your machine to log into our Zoom. So I'll send the 3 exercises, that is 8, 9, and 10, because that is what you're supposed to go and practice. That is what you're supposed to go and practice. So you can download that. So then our average if function, how do you insert this function? The average if you have only one range, then followed by a condition, not like sum if. the sum if have two ranges. The first range of cells to evaluate, the next is the range of cells to sum. But the average if has only one range of cells. That is, when you are working with this function, you insert the function, you insert function, then you choose average if. If your machine does not have this, then you have to look for it. You have to search above there, you type average if, then you click go, and the function will appear here. Then you click OK. You select the range of cells. You can use these cells. You select the range, the first range, the cells to evaluate. We want to check now the education, not the setting. Then under the criteria, we are going to type. So here we start with university. So, and the average range is optional, or the actual cells that you want to find the average actually is optional, but you can highlight those cells so that to determine the cells to be computed. Then from there, you click OK to give you the value there. So if you are looking for the next education level, then you copy and you insert the function average if, click OK. You select the range of cells to evaluate. Here we have this range of cells. Then the criteria, we type the criteria because we say criteria is a condition in form of number, could be in form of number. There are certain cases where you put criteria in form of a number, or some cases in form of an expression or in form of text. Our criteria here is in form of text. Then the average, if the average, you are looking for the average of these cells that are under that particular criteria, and you compute that. So that is how you use the function average if. Then finally, we can insert the last one. So here we already know our criteria is this. Our range is this one here, and our average range is this one here. Then you click OK. So you'll be able to define those cells and get the average of the same. Anyone with a problem up to that point? And still believe you are doing it there. So in our next class, once we start the those advanced the financial management functions, we will set a situation whereby you'll be able to share your screen. But you know, when you are given option to share the screen, simply it means you're also given options to unmute your microphone. But I don't know how this one will really be possible, because some students don't even know whether their microphone is on or off. Yeah, so that one requires a little bit of high discipline, that we can be interactive, so that at least you can share your screen and you see what is really challenging you. So then you also give people to ask questions verbally, so that at least we can interact. So for total annual purchase, I'll only repeat the last one. That is, I want to get the total annual purchase for none. That is education level none. And how do you do that? You insert the function. Since you are told average annual purchase, then the function is average if. That we are looking for average, but not average for all those numbers. Not the average for all those numbers, but the average only for this education level. So that means first you have to highlight the sales range under the education. Then the criteria is none. Then the average range is that annual purchase. You select that range of sales, then click OK. Now, once you do that, it will give you that value. So finally, when we are running this, we want to get the population, the number of males the number of females in our big data. So that is, you actually work with big data, of course. Then we want to extract that information from our big data and get the values of, get the number of times, get the number of males, get the number of females. So if you are to get this number, physically you count, you don't sum, you just count. That is the same thing that you're supposed to do here. If you count all here, it will count all the customers. But now you don't want to count all. We only want to count for those specifically who are male and those specifically who are female. So how do you insert that function? The function is COUNTIF. This function COUNTIF normally counts the number of elements in a range of cells which meet a given condition. So it will count where there is a specific condition. So, and when you are inserting the function, then you click on the cell, insert function, COUNTIF. So then you select the COUNTIF function, then the range of cells, we are counting from here to here, and we are counting where M. We are counting where M. Let me repeat again. Because of that screen issue. So we want to count. So we click on that cell, then click insert function, COUNTIF. COUNTIF from here to here, we have male. And since we did not type the word male here, we typed M to represent male, then you type letter M that was given there, then you click OK. So it will count the number of M's and it will find 4. So the same case, you want to get the values for female. Again, you will insert function COUNTIF. Again, you select the range of cells to act on, that is these cells. Then from there, you type the condition F that represent the value of female. So the population here of male to female will be 4 to 6. 4 to 6. That is how you insert the function COUNTIF. You can also type this function direct in your worksheet. That is, you click on the cell, then you start with an equal sign, then you type COUNTIF, you type it manually, then double click on COUNTIF. Then from there, you select the range of cells, you highlight those cells above there. And after selecting the range of cells, you put a comma. The criteria, you have to put it in quotation marks. If it is female, type F and then close the bracket. So that is another way of achieving the same, and it will give you the same solution. So out of our big data, we have extracted simple summary data. And that is what is required of you, that when you are given a big data, you are supposed to extract this data and get the summary of this data, something that you'll be able to visualize. Because when you are making charts, then it will be easier to make chart from this simple data instead of making the chart from our big data here. So then finally, you are supposed to extract. Sometimes you are given two conditions that you want to filter those for male and set at the same time. So here we used sum if because we had only one condition, that is the setting. But now, in this case, we have two conditions, that is both the city and the gender. So how do you achieve this? So to achieve this, you cannot use sum if alone. So you'll have to insert a function that will help you to select several ifs, that is several conditions. And this function is sum ifs. So you look for the function above here. So you type sum if, then you add an s at the end. That is sum ifs, because these will help you add the cells specified by a given set of conditions or criteria. So once you select, okay, then it always starts with the cells to sum. And since here we are summing annual salary, not annual purchase, we are going to highlight the sales range under that annual salary. And once you highlight this, then the first criteria is the criteria range of cells that you want to evaluate. We can start with the gender. We select the column for gender, and under that column for gender, you specify male, that is M for male. Then the next criteria is the criteria showing the city. So you select all the cities here. Then you specify that you want those for New York. So you type there New York. And finally, you click OK. And that one will give you those males from New York, annual salary for males from New York. So anyone with a problem so far? If you have a challenge, you can chat there, say, not yet. So we can repeat the same for the next city. So here, we are looking for this city, that is Chicago. And we want to get the annual salary, for customers from Chicago who are male. So you again insert the function sum ifs and click OK. Then you start by highlighting the annual salaries. You highlight those annual salaries. Then the criteria range, we can start from the range that shows the gender, and the gender is male. Then the criteria that shows the city, and the city is what? It is Chicago. Then you click OK, and it will give you the value for that. So the side chart having criteria is not appearing in my machine. What is the challenge there? The side chart having criteria. Let me see. So probably, maybe you have inserted the function. So maybe you can do together. Try again for settle. What may bring that issue is that once you insert, you click on insert function, because there is an option of typing. Sometimes when the function has so many conditions, it is not wise to go typing, because it will waste a lot of time. So you insert the function, you select sum if function. If sum if is not here, because sometimes you'll find these are the most recently used function. If you change here, you can try in your machine, you scroll down there, you select all. When you choose all, then you'll realize that those functions that were there just disappears. And probably you want to look for the function sum ifs. It will be a bit difficult to search, to look here, scrolling down. It may waste a lot of time. So instead, we said above here, there is somewhere you are told search for a function. Search for a function. So that is where you type in the function that you are looking for. And it's supposed to be one word. So there you type sum ifs. and then you click go. When you click go, automatically it search that function, and it you add this function in your menu down here. I hope that one is okay. Have I answered your question? Okay, so we can select now sum if. Then from there we said first we start with the annual salary, because in our dialog box here is asking us to give the sum range. That is the actual sale to sum. You have to specify these are the actual sales to sum. Then the criteria you can start with either. So say like you want to start with the criteria showing the gender. So you select first the genders, and the criteria that you're looking for is male. Then the next criteria, you select the city, and the city that we are actually looking for is Seattle. So you just type there and you click OK. So it you compute and give the sum annual salary for those customers from this city center and who are male. So you're supposed to do the same for the female. So that one you can do it very, very fast. So just do that one very fast. Just get the sum ifs. The sum ifs annual salary. You select annual salary. Then you select the criteria. Here now we are looking for female. And the next criteria, we are looking for New York. And we click OK. It will compute that. Then again, we'll look for these. Again, you look for the next city, that is Chicago. You can even copy, if you are proficient with Excel, some things you don't have even to keep on typing, because you can use copy and paste. Just click there, select the sum range. Then you choose the criteria, that is this, the gender. The gender is still female. And the next criteria range is the criteria range having the cities, and we select Chicago. So finally, we look for the last one here, and we copy this one. Again, we insert the function. Function is sum if, and again, you select the sum range. The sum range is annual salary. Then the criteria, you can start with the first criteria for gender, looking for female. The next criteria for cities, looking for Seattle, and click OK. And we will have worked with that. Then again, we said you have to be very fast when you are computing this. And the presentation of your work is very, very important. For physical students, we have been looking on that. That is checking on what every student has done and how he has presented his reports, his results. And that is very crucial, because the same way you present the work in your workplace, that is the same way you should present your work in that exam portal. So don't just give work that is not well bordered, the work that is not well shaded. You should always present this work in a very neat way, because so many people are doing these exams and they are using the same tool, that is Excel tool. So, but what differentiates your work with others is your neatness. So if your work is not neat, then automatically it may discourage the person who is really looking for your work, because he'll have doubts whether you really did the right thing. But if your work is very smart, then it will take time to go through your work. So just because I cannot see what you are really doing in your machines, it is always important that when you do an assignment, we are not sending to look for the answer. You are just sending to confirm that you are really producing the right work. So if you get for the New York annual salary for females, you got 20,000. Yes, it was 20,000 because there was a figure that has changed in my work. So that is not a problem. So that is the worksheet that I have given you. It is like that. So finally, now, from our big data, you're supposed now to present this data using a chart, using charts. So you're supposed to present this work in a chart panel. So, and in Excel, charts are actually some of the tools we use in data visualization. And our next topic under the theory part, we'll discuss more about data visualization. And we say that data is better presented in visual way than presented in what that is presented in form of numbers. When data is visualized, it makes more sense, and it is easier to analyze visual data. So the visualization aspect is actually something that you have to do. Even some questions actually say that using a dashboard simply means that you visualize your work. And that visualization can be done using the pivot tables and pivot charts. You can do it using charts. You can do it using the visual aids in Excel. So that the concept of data visualization is actually something that will actually help you to produce quality data. That is, quality of good data is normally achieved through that visualization. The visualization aids in Excel, we are going to use mostly charts and other tools like pivot tables and pivot charts. So here, a chart is usually a comparison between two sets of data. One set of data will be category data versus the data that has values. Like in this case, you are told to analyze and to give the values of this total annual salary for these cities. It could be done by selecting the cities here, then selecting the annual purchase. You can still achieve this using that. But now the problem is these cities were repeated several times. So that means your chart will have several repetitions. And when you create chart in that manner, you click on insert above there, then you see the charts. From these charts, you can actually click on the chart, all the charts, see all the charts. When you click on that icon, it will produce the chart, insert chart dialog box, whereby you can now click all charts and you'll get to see all the charts. So if I simply choose column chart and click OK, you'll notice that my data here will have a lot of repetition. You'll see the New York is repeated several times. But instead of having this and then filtering again your work, instead of doing all that, first you filter the data first. And from the filter you have got, then now you can make the chart from there. So meaning, if you are to make a chart of that manner, then the easiest way is using this output that we got here. And first you highlight the cells, and you can start with the category data. Then you hold the control key and select the value data. Remember that selecting the first name city and this total annual purchase is very important because it is part of your work. It is part of your chart. So you highlight starting from the word city, And again, you highlight starting from the word total annual salary. Then from there, you insert the chart again. Then here, you select all the charts. And it has those recommended charts that you can make from that piece of data. Either you make a column chart, a pie chart, or even a bar chart. But it is important to click all charts because it will help you get, if it is column charts, it will help you get several categories of this column chart. And you can see those categories over here. So you want to get just a normal column chart without those 3D effects. I will just click on that, then click OK. And now from the look of our chart, you'll find that the chart now have shown the total values of total annual purchases for New York, the total annual purchase for Chicago. It can help us compare. And from here, then you'll be able to know that in which city did customer purchase more. Just graphically, it is easier to now tell. So after making this chart, the chart always is embedded on the current worksheet. If you want to retain it there, you have to just remove it from overlapping our data and put it maybe somewhere aside. Although it is always encouraged that once you make this chart, then you move it on its own worksheet. And moving it on its own worksheet, when you make the chart, then you'll notice above here, it will come with the chart tools. The chart tools, the design format. And if you're using Office 2010, I believe maybe some people are using 2010, then it will be a little bit different. 2010, it will be a bit different. I can show you how 2010 looks so that whoever is using the same, you'll be able to get those tools that whenever you insert a chart using this version, and you copy the same data in the next version. But now I will not paste formulas, I will just paste the values. Because the formula so that is my data. I've copied it from this worksheet and want to make a chart. Now I'm using a lower version of Office that is 2010, and you want to see the difference between the two. So once I insert the function, I highlight the two columns, then I'll click on insert chart. Here under charts, I can still unfold here to get more charts. Now this one, the dialog box look like this. And from here you can choose this column chart, okay. And you'll notice again that above there, it will come up with the chart tools, design, layout, and format. So in this Office, layout is where you get most options. Design, under the design, you can change the option, like the color, and then moving the chart location to a new worksheet. So you can click move chart location, then you choose a new worksheet. So that is when you're using 2010. When you're using any other higher format like 2013 and 2016, which I believe most of you have, then once you insert the chart, then you'll have to move that chart in a new location. So once we insert that chart, then the chart tools appears here, and they're only to design and format. So under the design, then you have that option of moving chart in a new location. Then you choose a new worksheet. This chart simply indicates the total annual purchase. You can even rename it that way. That is, you can rename total annual purchase. So, and once you rename, then you click OK. It will form a new worksheet down here. The worksheet and the new worksheet down here with a chart. And that is our chart. So this chart requires to have a chart title, which is already having. That is it. Can type it again. But, so the chart should have several other elements. That one, number one, the chart should have the chart title. Where do you get the chart title? From the elements under the design. From the elements, add chart elements. You will see chart title. Our chart is above the chart. So you have to add that. Number two, you must add the axis title. You have to indicate this axis represent what, and this axis represent what. So that means under the elements, you select axis title, you choose primary, horizontal, or primary vertical. Then once you click primary vertical, it will appear somewhere here. Then you can do what? You can edit. So you put your cursor there inside, either use the delete key or backspace key to remove the text that is there. Then you can type what this axis represent. So in our case, the axis actually represent the annual. Annual purchase. Then the other axis that you need to have is the lower axis down there. So you just click on the design, add chart elements. Then you select the axis title, primary horizontal axis. So remove this. Oh, sorry. Don't press the delete key because it may lead to disappearance of your work. So first, once you add that element, chart element, axis, then you click that, put the cursor there, use the backspace. Then now you can type that this one represents city. So you have the title. So that is now, the chart is remaining with one item, what we call the legend. And under this chart, you click under the design, and the chart elements, you'll find something called legend. A legend can be put any side. So we can have it at the right side. So that shows a complete chart. So that is how you really work with that function. So those functions are many. So you can now try to make another chart representing the average, annual average purchase. So use the same procedure, insert charts, and then you can select all charts. Which type of chart you want to make? You select column is already highlighted. So you choose. You want to 3D column, I can choose 3D column, or I can choose bar. Then from there, you click OK. So to move to a new location, we said, first you click on your chart. And when you click on the chart, then from there, under this design tool, above here, the chart tools, we have move chart location and new worksheet. So you just click and it was shifted from there to the other side. So that is running those. So if you want to get the values for population, then the best function to use is pie chart. So you click insert, and then under the charts, you can choose the pie charts. You can choose either of these, then OK. And to give us that pie chart. Again, you move this chart to its own worksheet. So let's just call it pie chart. So then you click OK. It will define our pie chart. This pie chart have no, it has no axis, and you're supposed to represent these values in percentage. So to do that, on the same design, we'll have this element of data labels. You click data labels, then you click more data label option. They should come on this side, that is on the right side. Then from there, you don't want to represent these pies using numbers, so you can present it using percentage. You see that? So then the position of that is either centered, then inside and outside best. So you can choose either best fit or outside end, and it looks good. So from here you have the percentage of male and female. So that is just inserting function. Inserting function. So which formula do you repeat now? So because to insert this, you don't really need it. So I think that is clear. So we have created that pie chart from this data. You can also create a chart to represent the values we have. So please, you have to highlight all those range. Then from there, you insert the function. But now the function is sum ifs. Then you select the range of cells or annual salary. Then the condition 1. So we are using which function? Sum ifs. Sum ifs. Criteria 1. We are looking for the values of so the ranges, you can highlight those ranges. You can start from any range. Then the second one is for this And again, you specify here using a name. Yeah, so that is how you set up those functions. So the pie chart is just a comparison between two values without access. So once you highlight this, then you can insert the function. So once you highlight that data and you insert, you choose the pie chart. So you can choose either so you look at this chart here. You say that you have either to move it in a new location, you need to add percentage, which we said if you are to add percentage, use data label, more data label options. Then you can choose is it percentage or value you want. You can choose either. Then click OK. So you have that one already sorted out. Yeah, so that is how this function really works. Works like that. So now you can analyze and summarize this data. So then we proceed with the next function, that is the VLOOKUP. The VLOOKUP. Probably this function you have ever experienced somewhere, and some data, especially when you are filtering the data, this function will be inevitable. That is, this function, you cannot really achieve much if you don't really know how it works. Because you don't work with Excel as a manual platform. Excel should give you an easy way of actually finishing the work very fast. So, and the VLOOKUP is the function that we actually use to do that. So first, I hope you have gone through that small story about the VLOOKUP, and then we see what is specified. Feed that data in your machine, just a few minutes, like 2 minutes. Then you're going to use it to do some analysis. I hope you are through with typing the data. Now, let's see how this function works. First is to understand the VLOOKUP and why is necessary to have this function, and how this function will actually help us to condense large volumes of data and to come up with a simple, easy to analyze. Sometimes you can VLOOKUP, you can actually look up data from different worksheets, and then bring it into one worksheet. That makes your work so easy that some people will be adding data in another worksheet as it updates your data. So the VLOOKUP function will be like this. The vertical lookup is very useful function when you need to perform calculations that reference a table with a range of values. And this VLOOKUP search down the first column of the table and finds what you want. So we'll apply this function to do a number of things. That is some of the application of this. We'll actually see this one here. Then it moves across the specified number of columns and return the value of the target cell. So when entering this function, then you need to specify a number of things. Number one, you have to specify the value in the leftmost column. The reason why I've sent you that copy that is written reference and lookup function, because the VLOOKUP only looks for the leftmost. It checks the leftmost column to get a value to the right. The HLOOKUP will get the value on the topmost and get the value down the column. That is the HLOOKUP. The other function like match and index can help you get the value at any side, not at the leftmost or rightmost. So they can help you actually to get the value from any side. That means match and index can really help you to get the values from any direction. So that means in future, you'll have to combine both the index and the VLOOKUP, the match and the VLOOKUP. So to do even a more advanced work. So that is why I've sent you that so that you can go through individual function, and we have those easy to try exercises. You can do them in your machine so that when you come later to do now, combining the VLOOKUP with other functions, then you'll be able to understand these functions. So let's see how this function unfold here. So we have seen that you need to specify the range, the area that is named. It could be a named range or just a range of cells. Then again, you have to set up the column offset from the leftmost column. And again, you have to check on the logical statement in form of words that is true or false, where the false represent an exact match and the true represent an approximate match. So in our work, that data you have typed, why is the data? So we are given a range of cells here that contain our products. Can even merge this. Let's have it borders. That is our table. This is actually the source of our data. But now we want to look up for something from here and get it here. I want to try a simple exercise. This range of cells, I want you to select this and copy. just copy that range of cells, copy that range of cells. Then once you copy the range of cells, open a new worksheet, open a new worksheet. Of course, to open a new worksheet, just near the VLOOKUP worksheet, and then paste that worksheet there. That means this range of data sometimes can also be in a different worksheet, but the VLOOKUP function has the power to get that value even when it is in a different worksheet. So how does it work? So we are looking for the products, so we are given their IDs here. So that simply means we are going to insert the function, the lookup here. And you start with an equal sign, then type V lookup, V lookup. The V lookup look up for values in the leftmost column and return the value in the same row. You specify by default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. So you double click that function, VLOOKUP. So once you double click, down here, it will give you this small chart, this small hint that shows, see this small hint, I'm moving here. Yeah, it actually shows how the VLOOKUP is supposed to follow up. That is the syntax. If you check this syntax, we start with the lookup value, then it is followed by the table array, followed by the column index, then the lookup range. That is what we have. And that is what we are going to explain. This is the VLOOKUP argument. The VLOOKUP argument. So you have to follow this. It must have these options. So the first option, that is what we call the lookup value, is specifically what? The lookup value specifically here represents the value you are trying to find, but specifically in the leftmost column of the table. It could be a value, a reference to a cell, even text, or even sometimes could be a scroll down menu that you scroll from. And once you scroll in from that menu, it automatically looks up the value where you have specified. So in this case, in our worksheet here, the VLOOKUP value or the lookup value is the value you are given here. That is the ID that is presented there. So you click on that ID, then you put a comma. Then you put comma, it is supposed to specify the table array, which we say the table array is either a range of cells or a named range of cells. Where in this case, we don't have a named range of cells, but we have that range of cells. So that means when you are specifying the table array, you are going to highlight this range of cells where we have the source of our data. Source of our data. But something we did previously, I know some students maybe missed those lessons, and those lessons were very, very important. That since the formula will be copied down in the worksheet, that range of cell must be absolute. It must be absolute. Because if you leave it not absolute, and you copy down the formula in your worksheet, then it will automatically shift, and you don't want it to shift. So how do you make it absolute? We said you press F4 on the keyboard. And if you are using the laptop, remember the function key. And immediately you press F4 on the keyboard, it will add those dollar signs before those cells addresses, making them absolute. Then you put a comma because you have already specified that range of cells. Then when you put a comma, then you'll notice that it will prompt for something else. So just a minute, I want to repeat just a little bit. Let me delete it first. So we said that the lookup range, and we explain here that the lookup range is what you are trying to look up. Then the table array, oh, what do you mean? How are you doing? Hey, adjust. So, these admin is just joking around. So here we have the table array, and we say that this is the table array in which you are looking for the value. This could be a reference to range of cells, like in our case, that is the reference range of cells, or it could be a named range. We are going to use both of them and see the difference. So when it is a reference to the range of cells, then you have to, after the comma, you have to select those range of cells. Well, that is what exactly we did. And then you make those cells absolute by pressing F4 on the keyboard. Then you put a comma. Then it will ask you for the column index. What is the column index? Say that the column index, this is the column index number from which you want to fetch the matching value. You want to fetch the matching value. So you want to fetch the matching value from where? So in this situation, whatever you are looking for is the product. We are looking for the product and not for the brand. And if you check from our table here, the product is in the third index because the column index is counted from the leftmost, where the leftmost is always index 1. So you have index 1, index 2, index 3. So our column index here will be 3, that representing the column index where the product are. So once you type index, allow to ask a question if possible. Yes, you can ask any question before you proceed. Just ask a question. I'm waiting for the question. Yes, column index, we are there. How did we assign the dollar sign? Oh my God. So you missed my lesson. You missed some lessons there previously. But I'll repeat. I'll show you later. Don't worry. So let me do for that column index. The column index, we said we obtain the column index. After putting the range of cells, the column index, I've said that this specifically represents the column index of what you are looking for. Like if you had written brand here, the column index could have, you should have used 2 because brand is in index 2 from the leftmost. But now you're looking for product. Product is in the third column from the leftmost. So that is index 3. So when you specify 3, then it should look for for the products. Then comma, you put another comma. Then it you ask you for the last item, that is the lookup range. Here, you specify whether you want an exact match or an approximate match. So if you use, or if you omit it, then by default, it takes the true, which is an approximate match. So that means immediately when you choose or you put a comma here, when you put a comma here, then it will prompt you to select the approximate match. The value in the first column table must be sorted in a specific order, or you look for the next match, that is the exact match. What are you looking for? We are looking for the exact match. So you double click false. And by doing that, it will give you the exact match. So once you do this, you have already entered that function, the VLOOKUP function. Someone is asking, where can I get the Word document for VLOOKUP so that I can copy the data in Excel? Hey, boss, I've already sent this one in WhatsApp group. So just download from there. It is already there. I will forward again. If you joined the group late, I will forward again and you'll get it. So once you complete this, then you press the enter key, and now you copy down this formula in your worksheet, and you will notice that automatically it will generate each product based on its ID. It will generate every product based on its ID. That is how this VLOOKUP works. I'll repeat that VLOOKUP now using a named range of cells. A named range. You see here we have another second range. If you highlight this range, you can try, just highlight the second range. You will notice that that range is named. If I highlight it, the name, it is called product. You can actually see the name from the name box. The name box in the formula bar. So how do you name that range? Name that range. Once you highlight the range, then you right click inside the range, then you define name. We can even call it another name. Just highlight that range of cells. Then you right click on it and then you select define a name. Then above here, you can define the name of that range of cell. For example, we had named it as products. And once you type products, you press enter. It will actually tell you that the name range already exists. So just click OK. So that is, and cancel. The name, that range of cells was already named. So if I was to use the same to get the values here of the VLOOKUP, then how will be my formula? Let me remove this all. I can have it. I can have another one here. Don't have to remove that. Just have another formula in the next cell. Still looking for the product. So we want to insert this function again, but now using a named range. So the formula again start with VLOOKUP. Now I will be a bit fast because, of course, we have done the first one. So once I insert the function VLOOKUP, then it is prompting me to set up the lookup value The lookup value is this value above here. So I will click on that value that I'm looking up for. First, I will be looking up for the first ID. Then once I copy down, it will generate for the other IDs. Then put a comma. After that comma, it will now ask me for the table array. But now the table array is a named range. I don't even have to go down here and select the range. If I already know the name of the range, I will just type it. And but while typing, you'll actually see it somewhere. That products. Once you type products, it highlights that range automatically. You don't even have to put dollars there. Then you put a comma and let me see that error you are talking about. But you uploaded what? You did not upload the Excel file. The file you have uploaded is not an Excel file. I cannot open it. That file is not an Excel file. I cannot open. It's a different kind of file. Okay, I'm trying to look for it, but it is not opening that file. Probably, maybe. Okay, so sure. I'll check on it. Oh, it's a picture. Oh, it's a picture. I was wondering how can it be an Excel file? So, let me see that picture. Okay. You got not available. So that is the problem I'm talking about, the use of absolute referencing. I'll show you that just right away. Let me finish this one first. Then you look at that. So once you type product, because that product was our named range, then you put a comma and then you select the column index. The column index is still 3 because you are looking for the product, comma. Then you select the exact match and you close the brackets. Then it will still give you the same information that you can use a named range. Check the two formulas. This is the first formula. You can see the first formula, the way it looks. You can see the first formula. The first formula. This is moving too slow. You see the first formula? Then the next formula will be like this. So this is my next formula. Or the first one, instead of using the word product here, it used a range of cells. That is absolute. And this one here, that is the difference between the two formulas. You can see those two formulas. So that worksheet where you have got not available because of you did not set up this absolute referencing. If you check your formula, you don't have this dollar sign. That's why you got those not available. So I can show you that practically so that you understand why you got not available. That if I was to set this formula, if I was to set this formula, okay. Yeah, and what is happening? Yeah, and you get this. So I remove these references. So just press F4 to remove the first one, F4 to remove the second one, and then press enter key. It will give me the first few values correct, but the third value will come not available, like that. So that is why it brought that error. So you should always put absolute differencing. So that one is fine. That is how the VLOOKUP function works. So the VLOOKUP can also find the value from a different worksheet. Remember, we have copied data in another worksheet here, and you want to look up that value from that worksheet. So how will be this worksheet? Now, we are going to look up for the value, again, product here, but from a different worksheet. Just copy this one here. And now we are looking up that data from another worksheet. Again, we'll start with VLOOKUP. So just type VLOOKUP, then you select the lookup value is this, then you put comma, then when it asks for the table array, you'll go down here, click on sheet 1, select the range of cells in that worksheet, then put a comma. Oh, sorry, before you put a comma, you make those cells absolute. Again, you press F4 on the keyboard. Press F4 on the keyboard. And you put the cursor again in between. Before A1, you press F4 again. So it you read sheet 1, Dora A, Dora 1, then full colon, Dora C, Dora 5. Then you put a comma. Now from there, you can set up the column index, which is still 3, and still looking for an exact match. And our formula will refer to that worksheet and still give you those values. So if you compare now this, you'll find sheet 1 is included somewhere. The absolute differencing of the cells in that worksheet, the column index, and the lookup range. And these still give you the same solution. So that is, the VLOOKUP is very powerful. It can get values from any worksheet. Someone is saying I'm too fast. Well, the other one is saying we continue. Oh. Wow. So, I'll repeat several times, but not right away. I'll give you an assignment first. Then this one will repeat in our next lesson, because our time is almost elapsing. The exercise that you're going to attempt from whatever I send you, just go and attempt exercise what? Exercise 9. But exercise 9 will change a bit. I think I've sent that exercise in WhatsApp group. So I've interchanged this price and type. So your exercise should look like the one I've sent you there. That is, it should be like this, should be like this. So the type should be in this side and the price in this side. And you read the question that has been given there below the question. You are supposed to use the VLOOKUP to find the base, the price based on type, price based on type. So that is, you look for the prices based on the types. You use the VLOOKUP there. Yeah, so that one you'll do and send the results in a WhatsApp group. Someone is saying, I show you that. How can I show you the question I've given you? So then the other question you attempt is exercise 10. But exercise 10 is about H lookup, horizontal lookup. So you're supposed to do that question, then use the H lookup to achieve these results. Get the price, the tax rate, rent rate, water bill, and all that. So, and for you to be able to do that exercise, we can attempt the H lookup function from this data. How do we run the H lookup? H lookup here represents the horizontal lookup. So in that worksheet that we are using, that worksheet where we did the V lookup, you can go to that worksheet. Then you click on H lookup worksheet tab. You select the range of data here and you press delete key. Then tafanya hiyo. So let me see what people are saying. Some are saying we continue. But others are saying that we are too fast. So I'll only repeat that question. Using the H lookup is just like V lookup. So if you do this one for H lookup, we are still repeating the same concept. So how do you run the H lookup? So you click here. Make sure you're in that column. That column your product. Tumetoa hizo vitu zilikuwa hapo. Just delete them. Then start with the H lookup function. Then it asks for lookup value. The lookup value is the value ID given there. Then number 2, you put a comma. If you ask for the table array, the table array is this data here that you are given as our base data. Then you press F4 to make those cells absolute. Then you put a comma. It will ask you for the row index, not now the column index. Because the row index, starting from the topmost row of the range of data you are given here, this will be row index 1, row index 2, row index 3. Since you are looking for the product, then our row index will be number 3. So type 3, then you put another comma, then you select the exact match and close the bracket. So the formula will not change. The format is the same, and the argument for this is only these 3 of them. That is the lookup value, the table array, the column index, and the range lookup. We don't have anything else. It's just only that. If you have followed, actually, you'll see it is very, very easy because you just know which will be your lookup value, which is the table array. That is the range of cells to look up from. What is the column index? That is from the leftmost column or from the topmost row. If it is H lookup, then is it an exact match or approximate match? Only that. So that is how this function works. So once you get this, you press the enter key and you copy down this formula in your worksheet. So it will look up for all the IDs, products, and give those values over here. What is working with H lookup? H lookup. So let me repeat for this task. That is number 2 for product, how we get the named range. You know, these formulas, the first one we used a range of cells. The second one, the table array, was a named range. The third one, it was another range from another worksheet. So how did we achieve this named range? This was already named. So you just select, right-click, define the name, and give it the name. It was already named. You can see its name on the name box on the formula bar. So that means if you are to type this formula, then you start with an equal sign, you select VLOOKUP, then the lookup value is the value we are looking up for here. Then you put a comma, you select the table array, but now the table array is already a named range. You don't even have to select, or even when you select, it will give you the name. When you put a comma, you find the name. You will not find the range, the cell references. The best way is even typing. The column index is still 3, and we are looking for an exact match. So that is using a named range. Remember that we said the table array over here, the table array, this table array which you are looking up for, this could be a reference to range of cells or a named range. I think that one is clear now. So you have to use either. So from there, you can copy down your worksheet there, your formula in the worksheet, and it will give you those values by looking up the value. So that means if you change the product from this table array, for example, if I change this product, instead of typing printer, I change this one to a different product. For example, I type scanner, then press enter. What will happen? Anywhere we had the scanner will have printers in the first column that referred to this range. So it will change automatically because it is actually looking up for that value over here. So that is how this function actually works. So I think that is clear. Someone is asking where I'm getting number 3 from. We said that number 3 is the column index from where the product, remember that we are looking for product. If we change this, say like we are looking for brand. If here we type brand, we are looking for the brand. Then when you are typing in our formula, we will not refer to 3. We will refer to 2. Because from the leftmost column, we have index 1, index 2. So when you press 2, when you type 2, instead of giving you the value printer, it has given you the brand. So that is where 3 is coming from. So the Excel document I'm working on, I've already shared it. And let me share it again in that group. You download it. I know these guys are telling me we should finish up. Time is over. So let me share that, then you get it. Then you can download it. That document is the one that has basic Excel. So as you scroll down, you get those formulas there. So I hope you have. So our today's lesson, we are going to end there. In our next class, we'll first go through that assignment I've given you. Then you'll start on financial functions. And the first financial function we are going to check on, I already said that in the group, the financial functions. We'll check on the PMT, that is the function that we use to calculate the monthly payment of a loan. That is under the course outline, is that what is called the financial management, the function used there in financial management. We'll check on the PMT rate, the FV, future value. Those are the functions we'll discuss in our next lesson. So up to our next lesson, still, if your number is not added in the WhatsApp group, just type your number there and send. Then we'll get those numbers later and we'll add you in those groups.